Have you been waiting for the next big asymmetrical horror game? Well, today I've got 3 major updates from some upcoming horror titles that have all made progress over the last few weeks. We'll be covering Last Summer, Fear the Reaper, and Saw Genesis, including new characters, new maps, and upcoming playtests, and where each project currently stands. If you're looking for the next multiplayer horror game to keep an eye on, here's everything you need to know. Let's start with Last Summer. If you haven't heard of it yet, Last Summer is an upcoming asymmetrical horror game that puts one killer against multiple campers in a classic summer camp setting. Its inspirations comes from F13, a popular asymmetrical title that community loves. The game is currently planned to release on Steam, with console versions being considered after launch depending on development progress. One of the biggest updates is the reveal of a brand new camper named Michelle Reyes. The developers stated that this isn't her final design, and they're actively asking the community for feedback to help shape her appearance before release. Michelle bio says she is a film studies student and lifelong horror fan who decided to spend one final summer at Silent Lamb Camp before heading back for another semester. While everyone else gathers around the campfire, she'd rather watch classic slasher movies on a portable VHS player, or argue about which horror sequel deserved the top spot. She loves being scared, or at least she thinks she does. Shifting to the killer side, we got our first look at Real Widow. She's described as a pale, ghostly woman whose tangled white hair is intertwined with chains, railway spikes, and wires. She's dressed in her grandmother's blood-stained wedding dress, carries an old barricade filled with restless black birds, and attacks with a massive rusted machete capable of leaving devastating wounds. It is nice to see that more characters are being added to the game and you have more than just one killer to choose from. Finally, the game's Kickstarter campaign is officially live. At the time of this recording, the campaign has raised $6,642 towards its $153,956 goal, with 72 backers and approximately 20 more days remaining. If you'd like to follow development more closely, you can join their Discord server and follow them on X for future updates. Next up is Fear the Reaper, another upcoming asymmetrical horror title where survivors must work together while avoiding a relentless killer. The game is currently in development for PC through Steam and continue making steady progress through community playtests. And what I have played from personally, the game is addicting. It don't overcomplicate things and seems to be heading in the right direction in terms of balancing. The developers recently announced that the game's 4th map won't simply introduce a new location. Instead, it'll feature an entirely new primary objective that replaces the police escape mechanic exclusively for this map, giving players a completely different way to survive. They also confirmed that their 3rd map, Red Veil Treatment Center, is officially complete and will appear during the next public playtest after founders get early access to help polish everything up. Speaking of founders, they'll be jumping into the next playtest beginning on July 10th, giving the developers valuable feedback before opening testing to more players. Several new playable characters will be available during the founders test, including Agent Ivers, Michelle, Trent, Annie, and Ricky. And next up, the newly Asym game that was announced, Saw Genesis. This game is taking a different approach with a 3 versus 1 format inspired by the daily trials from the Saw universe. The game is currently planned for PC and aims to capture the tension and decision making that fans of the franchise expect. The developers recently shared that they intend to launch the game in a work-in-progress state for roughly 1 year, allowing the community to provide feedback while new content continues to be developed. One of those future additions will be more judges, giving players additional gameplay styles and strategies over time. A feature that helps separate Saw Genesis from other asymmetrical games is its procedural map generation system. Instead of memorizing every hallway and objective that victims or survivors usually do, maps are generated differently every match, meaning players should rarely experience the exact same layout twice. I believe only so many combinations will exist, so eventually a player will be able to distinguish between map layouts. But still, that unpredictability could add a fresh layer of replayability every time you queue in to a new game if you're new. Overall, it's encouraging to see all these 3 horror projects continue to move forward. Whether it's Last Summer expanding its cast of campers and killers, Fear the Reaper preparing for another major playtest with new maps and characters, or Saw Genesis building replayability through procedural environments. The asymmetrical horror game genre continues to grow, with some interesting ideas every time we see a new game release. Let me know down in the comments if you have been following any of these games. Remember to subscribe. Welcome to Mr. Unleashed World.